What's up, everyone? In the last tutorial, we reviewed how to post a Twetch from the CLI, or the command line interface. In this tutorial, we're going to review how we can use the Write API in order to post a Twetch using JavaScript code. And at the very end of the tutorial, I'll show you guys how to build a simple bot that posts a Twetch on recurrence. So let's get into it. Navigating out to Twetch's GitHub, we can see the installation instructions for a JavaScript project. So we're going to want to install the SDK locally as compared to globally in the last one. That lets us run arbitrary Twetch commands from the command line in any directory. So let's go ahead and install. So let's create a directory. We'll call it TwetchBot. Let's change into it. Alright, now let's instantiate our package.json file. So you can do that npm init y. -y just defaults it with values so we don't have to type them in individually, which is easy for something that's for testing purposes like this. Alright, let's clear this out. So now let's go ahead and install the SDK. Alright, that was successful. So let's open up our folder in Visual Studio Code. And here's our TwetchBot project. Let's create a file. We'll just call it write.js. And we'll do all our coding in here. So if I scroll down, I'll make sure I put the links to this in the description. We're focused on the library usage here. So we're going to need to require Twetch in our code and then create an instance of it with some options. So let's talk through those options real quick. You can view more library documentation with this link. And then here it gets into it. So there's different options. We don't really care about most of these, but I'm going to focus on this client identifier. So it says we can get that at the developer link here. So I have that open already, and we can see the documentation on this down here. So if I'm posting from the SDK with a client identifier tied to my profile that's linked to these a key here, then I'll receive a 10% discount. So I believe the fees that Twetch takes for just a regular post is something like 10,000 Satoshis at current prices. So when I post to the SDK, I'll only pay Twetch 9,000 Satoshis. Now that's if I'm posting for myself. If I'm using the SDK, but other people are posting and with different keys and I'm posting on their behalf, then I'll actually collect 10% of the Twetch post. So Twetch will get 9,000 sats and I'll get 10,000 even though someone else is paying those fees. So this is an incentive for people to build different platforms with Twetch's SDK. So I'm going to need my client identifier in the options. So let's go ahead and code that up real quick. So do const Twetch equal require Twetch SDK, which popped up for us. And then let's do var options, and just the object, and then client identifier quotes. And then we set that. Now we need an instance of our Twetch with the options. So we'll need const Twetch equals new Twetch, and then options. And then we need to initialize our Twetch in order to get the signing keys, since this is the first time that we've set up the SDK. So let's go ahead and run this. Clear this out. Node write. So we get some instructions here. So we're going to need to copy these and add it as a signing address, and we'll also need to fund it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I can just take that address, paste it here, the message, and then the signature. And we add it, and that was successful. We need to fund our address. So let's take this and let's just put some from Money Button. Let's edit this out. Okay. Paste that and we'll put 50 cents in. Alright. Let's clear this. So now we should be good to go. So let's go back out to the documentation and we're going to want to post. So we're going to implement these different post functions. So we can post, mention branch, reply, images, tweet from Twetch, like all that stuff. But if you notice here, the post function in terms of syntax is identical to the rest of these. So even though there's a branch in here, it's really just the URL that's appended to the B content. And then the reply is just another field in the function. So what we can do here is, and then this payparams is just an object with the tweet from Twetch parameters. So we can implement all of these in the same function instead of implementing like 5 different functions to do branching, mentioning, blah blah blah. So let's just go ahead and start building this out. Let me actually copy this code here. So we're going to need to make this async because we're making API calls, and we'll call this function post, and let's just paste the stub in here. So I'm gonna want to be able to specify the Twetch instance because it can take different parameters like a wallet. If I'm posting on other users' behalf, I don't want to just take the hard-coded instance that's in this JS file. So I'm gonna call it instance, and let's replace this with instance. Okay. Then I'm gonna want to specify the content, so we'll just call this content. I also want to be able to specify a reply, a branch. Now, notice that these are documented as separate things, but I can just take those parameters and then put them wherever I want them, right? So I could just say the content is the first part of this, and then the branch is the second part. So we can do that with template strings. So if I click the backticks here, I can say $, content, and then just $, open brace, branch, right? So that way if I specify a branch, it'll be put in there, and if I don't, then it'll just ignore it. Let's do the reply. So reply here is just a map to the transaction ID. Let's do comma here, map reply, and then I don't want this. I want to just set that to the reply. So if I'm calling this method, I would just specify txid in the reply field in the third parameter. But we're not going to stop here because we want these payparams to do our tweeting for us if we want to. So I can just comma and then insert that. Now I can add additional parameters. We'll just call it tweet to tweet from Twetch, and then to hide the link, we'll just say hide. Take this out, tweet, and then here we'll say hide. I need a comma. Now, one thing that's not documented out here yet is you can post files from the bitcoinfiles.org site in a similar fashion of how you branch, by just including the URL in your B content. So based off the way I did the branch, adding the files URL would be similar. So I could just say files URL and then just add another template parameter there. So that way I can just omit it to not do anything, and if I want it, I can specify it. Now these, speaking of that, these are similar. I don't have to set these and they'll just be false, but if I want to set them, I can just specify them as true. Alright, so now we have a function that's capable of doing whatever we want in terms of branching, replying, or posting files. So let's just do the simple example where we'll post. Sorry, let me get rid of this. I don't need that anymore. I do want to back up my wallet though. I already cleared the console, but it had a message out there when I did the initialize. So I can just say twetch.wallet backup. That way we won't get the message every time. Okay, so now let's post. We'll just say instance. Sorry, this should be Twetch since that's the one I declared up top. We'll just say testing ... Reply, I can just leave these blank. And then I won't specify the tweet parameters or the files URL because I don't need it for this case. So if I open this up and do node write, you see the balance from the Bitcoin that we added earlier, and then I posted it. So if we go out to my profile and then I'll refresh, You can see I have this testing just now. One thing I forgot to add is I want to log the response. So let's say let response, and then I want to do await since I made this an async function. The reason for await is because this publish is an API call. So I want to wait for it to come back, populate this response, and then let's log that to the console so we can see it. The response is rather big. I'm only interested in the TXID. So I'm just going to say response.txid and it'll print that out. All right, now let's reply to ourselves. So we can just take the TXID from the URL. I'll copy that. And then let's write, we can use the same structure. This is a reply. And then the reply is the third parameter. So I can just post that there. Save it. Let's clear this out. Node write. Posting, and it posted the TXID. So it starts with 587. Let's refresh this. This is a reply. And then you notice the transaction IDs are the same. Now let's go to my profile and let's branch something. So let's just pick a different post here. I'll just pick my testing post. So I can just copy the whole URL. So for branches, that is what I want. And then let's take this out and just type it from scratch again. So Twetch instance. Say this is a branch. We'll leave reply blank, but we want to specify the branch, and then we'll leave the rest of them blank. Clear that out. Node write. And I'm getting an error on trying to branch something for some reason. Not sure what's going on there. Actually, I have a clue. So I think it's because I added this files URL, but I need to leave that blank. So let's run this. Let's clear this out. Node write. Yep, and that was it. So I added that files URL, but I need to actually specify that as blank. Otherwise, the API can't read it. And you see this branch worked, and it also put the icon here showing that it was branched by me. All right, let's post a Bitcoin files file. So I have some out here that in this secret link of mine that I've been posting, but I'm gonna take one from one of my favorite RPG characters, Cecil Dark Knight. So all I need to do is just click this, and I want the full URL. So I'll copy that to my keyboard, and let's try this. So let's comment that out. We'll do post Twetch. I don't want to post any content. I just want the file. So I can just say leave all these blank, and then I'll post that. And then let's actually put this on Twitter. True, but we want to hide the link. So we'll say true to also do that. The Twetch link on the tweet. I could just, if I want to use apostrophes whenever I type this stuff out, I need to specify the template string. So I'll just type let's go as the content. So I will put some content in there. All right, let's clear this out. Now we'll do node write. All right, that was successful. So I could just go to my profile and see this, but additionally, I can just take the TXID and append it to a Twetch URL. And there it is. You can see my Bitcoin files post, and it's got the indication here. Now, we did write that to Twitter. So if I go to my profile, so that didn't work as expected. It just kind of put the URL there. But I think that should work. Maybe I need a space there. Okay, so we can do a Bitcoin files post. You can also do an image post. Let me just talk about that. I won't show that, but I could implement that here. Notice this map comment is different. So you would specify this instead of B content if you wanted to put some text with your file, and then you could just reference this from the same directory as your project. All right, let's like a post. So let's implement a function to do a like. So we're going to want to make this async function. We'll just call it like. We want an instance just like we do above. We don't need any content. We just need the TX ID since we're just doing a like. So I'll want to replace this with instance, and then this post transaction mapping with TX ID that I'm going to specify. Let's take out this old code here, and let's do like Twetch, and then a TX ID. Let's go pick a post out on Twetch to like. This is a cool tweet. Yeah, this is pretty good. So I just need the TX ID from this, and then I'll post that here. And then this is a very simple function, so that's all we're going to run here. Let me take this back up out. Clear this out. Node write. I didn't log it out. I should be doing that. But if I refresh this, you can see that I liked it. Alright, so I mentioned at the beginning we're going to code a bot. So let's do that. So we're going to make a simple bot leveraging this function that I wrote. Let me clear this commented code out and save this. So what we're going to do is we're going to fetch the BSV price and then post it every 10 seconds. So, but in order to do that, we need to make an API call elsewhere to fetch the price and then pass that to our post function here. So out on what's on chain, they have a easy exchange rate API that you can see here. And my weapon of choice for making API calls is in the Axios library. So this one's really simple. I'll post it in the link in the description. And we'll just need to install this and then run this function here. So let me clear this, and we'll just need to install Axios in our directory. All right, that was successful. We need to require it in our code. Okay. And then I can just take this function template out here. So this is where we're going to put our URL. They have just kind of the extension of the URL here for the sample. And I'm not interested in this finally block. I just want to do the then and then be able to handle the errors. All right, so we're going to call a function. We're just going to say get price. We don't need any parameters. I'll post that in here. Let me format this. And then for the URL, I want this API to get the exchange rate. What I need to do is, let's do let rate equals. So I'm going to use a base function called Parsefloat. So all that's going to do is just get the floating point number. So you'll notice that this has lots of decimals on it. Since I know that that's coming back, I want response.data.rate, because rate matches this field right here. And then I only want 2 decimal places. So I'll say let r equals rate.toFixed. Okay, so that'll make sure I only get 2 decimal places. And then let's create our content. So notice I'm using let here. The reason is let only has scope within the function. So that means in theory I could have a content parameter like I do up here, and they don't collide with each other because they're only in scope of the relative functions, versus something like const or var, which would be referenceable in any other function that are the same. So you would have collisions here if I try to say like options, declare options in one of these other functions. We'll do a template string. So we're just going to say the current USD price of BSV is $1 for what we'll put in, and then another for the template string, and I can just say R period. All right. Now I'm going to want to call my post, my Twetch instance, and then specify the content, right? And I can leave these other ones to be blank because I don't need them. Now, the interesting thing here is not only am I making a Twetch bot, but I'm also making a Twitter bot that posts the price. So to do that, I can just say true, and I want to hide the link because I just want my statement about the price. So this function here is going to post the BSV price to Twetch and to Twitter. Now, in order to do a bot, what we do is, it seems like that would be, you know, complex code to just post every so often, but it's really not. We can use a base JavaScript function called setInterval, and then the first parameter we say our method, but no parentheses. So comma, and then I specify the amount of time in milliseconds. So if it was on every second, I could just say 1,000 milliseconds, but I want 10, so I do 10,000. Now, if my function had any parameters, I could specify those here, but getPrice doesn't. It's empty, so I don't need to specify anything. So that's why it's a little weird, but we wouldn't do it in this here. We leave the parentheses off, but we would specify them in subsequent ones inside the setInterval method. All right, so to reiterate, this is a bot that's simply going to post the current BSV price every 10 seconds to Twetch and to Twitter. And this bot's going to run out of money pretty quickly because there's not much in here. So let's run this node. Right, I just want to make sure that I'm logging the response transaction. Okay, we're good. So let's run this. It's going to take about 10 seconds. All right, it logged the whole response. Oh, because I am logging the whole response from Axios. But yeah, there's the first transaction. So if we go out to Twetch, we should see that. Yep, there it is, 195.10. And now I should see this on Twitter. So refresh. Yep, 195.10. Now I should see another one. Yep, it keeps posting it. So it's done it 3 times over the 10 seconds. You can see it's just going to keep going if I just were to leave this. So let me kill that, clear this out. So that's it. I think that's not hard. I think that's pretty easy, and I hope this gets people learning about the SDK and what you can do. And you could run this bot on your laptop if you wanted to. It's better to do it on a server or somewhere that's kind of segregated and that can just go off and do its own thing. But I think it's pretty interesting if people are able to run bots on their computers that are potentially profitable. You know, maybe they're posting some data that people like, and if there's engagement on here, or if people start following the bot, now you have something that's making money that's just kind of running on your laptop. So this is going to be, this part of the SDK is going to be critical for the next part where we actually read from Twetch and display things, and we'll do some more stuff with the write portion. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. In the meantime, please give feedback on the YouTube comments, and also reach out on Twetch or Twitter. All right, thanks. See you guys in the next one.